Hey everybody, before we jump in this video, I have to apologize for the quality of it. I made a terrible mistake. I'm using Meld Studio for video capture, and that's what I make all my tutorials and all my videos in. But I was recording, I had my preferences set on Meld Studio at 4K for recording, and unfortunately my monitors were set up for 10K resolution. So you're gonna see a little fuzziness, maybe a little bit of blurriness, but sorry, I'm not gonna re-record this. Watch if you want, don't watch, up to you. Have a good day, get out there and shoot some stuff.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a very long time since I posted anything, and I'm really sorry, but I was on vacation for 2.5 weeks in England. We're in the middle of fiscal year end at the company I work for, at the business that I work for, and I have a lot of pictures that I've taken that I have to also get through the editing. But this one right here that I'm doing a video on is just a down and dirty, quick, not even a tutorial. It's just to show you how I edited this headshot for my daughter, who is now a legal assistant at a law firm, and she's in school to be a lawyer as well. And she needed a headshot. So, I mean, this is nothing special. You can go YouTube and find a whole bunch of tutorials on how to edit headshots. Some are very, very basic, like what I do, and then some just go deep into a whole bunch of editing, a whole bunch of different ins and outs of stuff. Any way you want to do it is fine, as long as the client likes it. And who cares what everybody else thinks, right? I mean, it's art, it's subjective, it's whatever. So anyway, this is the overall full frame photo, fresh out of the camera of Kennedy here. And the first thing I always do is I will do a basic edit. As you can see here, anything that has, this is all lit up, I made changes right here. And the only change I did, the basic, I set the white balance to 5400. And then I came down here into the detail and I denoised at 50, which is the default. Did it need it? Because honestly, the ISO was 200, so no, it didn't really need it. But sometimes I'm just so used to hitting that, and I think sometimes it does make the photo a little bit, smoother, a little bit better looking sometimes. But yeah, it's just personal preference, I guess you could say. And then that's all I did. After that, I made a virtual copy, and you make a virtual copy by just right-clicking and going to virtual copy and clicking that. And what that will do is create another picture, even though it's not a picture. I'm not going to go into what a virtual copy is. This is not that kind of video. And then from there, this is where I do my editing. So if we go in there, as you can see, it's already edited. It's edited for a 1:1. So the first thing I do is I crop, right? So when you crop, this whole big thing is what came in. And I want to do a 1:1 ratio, as you can see right here. And then when I do it, you just move it to where you want it, and move it anywhere. If you wanted it down here, if you wanted it right there, with less blue on top, with less background on top. But then you got this stuff you got to mess with, part of the skin, who wants that? So just bring it right up there and pick it, right? So let's just do Command Z to undo. There we go. Oh no, that's not where we had it. No, right there. We'll just call it good. All right. Anyway, so there we go. And the next thing I do is I do my remove. Anything that I want to touch up, I want to remove, I will. Normally I would fix like what you see, these wrinkles a little bit, try to smooth them out, but this is a cloth. Good luck on that. I like the texture. She liked the texture, but I knew that I was going to smooth it out a little bit by doing a Gaussian blur in Photoshop. So I just left it there. I didn't have to worry about that. So we go up here and we click the removal tool, and you can see all the spots that I worked on. Just a little bit of note here. If you don't want to see those spots, you can hit, I think it's escape, but I removed some scarring, so some facial blemishes that she would like to touch up. And then after I get done doing that, I will do a mask. Now, this is where I target specific areas. So a mask, like what I normally do, I go up here and I'll hit select people, and you'll see Lightroom has come a long way, man. See, a detected person. I click on that, and then I can mask the entire person, or I can just pick parts of the person I want to mask. Maybe I just want to do a facial skin, body skin. So now it's the neck. Maybe I want to do something with the eyebrows, or maybe the sclera, the iris and pupil, lips, teeth, hair, clothes. You notice that the mask, it's all right. Let's just like the hair. You'll see some background leakage. If you want to take the time and mask that out and subtract it, that's fine. But since I'm not changing the colors of the background at all or anything like that, and what little bit I do to the hair itself, it's really not noticeable. So, I just leave it as is. I'm going to cancel out of this because I already have that already created up here. Let's open it up. So you see mask 1, mask 2, whatever you click on, I'll tell you what the mask is. Person 1, body skin, facial skin. And now this is the same thing. I don't like seeing all these things up here. It drives me nuts. So you can get rid of those just by clicking these dots. And if you still want to see where the pen is on the subject you're editing, you can just click here and show unselected mask. And so like if I select here, and it's just going to show I'm doing body skin, and this is the body skin. I don't even like seeing that. So normally what I'll do is I'll go up here where it says show pens and tools, and then I'll hit never. So now no matter what I click on, I don't see any of those pop-ups. I don't like it because sometimes it pops up over something that I'm editing or something I'm doing and I can't see it, and it drives me absolutely nuts. So for the facial skin, I like to use Softness Skin Light. It's a preset. And a lot of people use like right around 70, 75. It depends on your person, the type of skin, what they got going on in their skin. I find for Kennedy, it's about 60. And that gives you still get the naturalness with a little bit more of a very light edit that kind of smooths it out a little bit. Here, let me show you. Maybe I can go in here and do a before after. There we go. And let's turn off that mask. Now let's fit this to 100%. So there you go. See, right here is the before, and right here is the after. And you can still see, you still got, stuff in the skin, just not as much, and it smooths it out a little bit. I just think it looks a little bit better. I think it does anyway. Maybe you don't, maybe you want all natural. That's fine. It's whatever you want, right? So let's take that off. Let's go back to fit screen. There we go. So that's facial skin. And then, the body skin, the eye sclera, I used teeth whitening. I find that works better than doing anything else. If you watch the eyes, I'm going to shut that off and see like how they're a little dull. The sclera, the white part is a little dull. You get that a lot with Flash. Her stuff is just pure white. So I like to go in there and like do a little bit of edit on it. And it's the same with the teeth. Let's get the teeth. If you turn that off, that's what it looks like. It's a combination of how you have your flashes set, how it's hitting your subject, and whatnot. So you're gonna run into this. If I had a little bit more time, I could probably got it nailed on, so I didn't have to do any of this. But this was a 1 p.m. call. Hey, I get out of work at 5 p.m. I come over? And I'm like, yeah. So I don't get out of work to 4:30. And then I'm setting up everything for a shot. So, and then the hair. And with the hair, all I do is I boost the saturation up a little bit. If I think it looks good how it is out of camera, I mean, it's barely noticeable. See? Barely, off, on, barely noticeable. I just bumped it up a little bit to where her hair looks natural to how it looks to the human eye. And that's where that's at. After I get all that done, the only thing I have left to do is bring it on over to Photoshop. And Photoshop is a little bit more powerful than Lightroom. And I use them combined. I mean, you can just use Photoshop if you want, or you can just use Lightroom if you want. But in Photoshop, I do a little bit more. So at this point, what I do is I would right click this photo that I just got done editing. And I'd go right here and I would edit in Photoshop. And what it does is it will bring it over just like that. It just brings it over, and let's shut all this stuff off. Sorry about that, guys. It brings it over just like this. So this is the picture straight out of Lightroom that we edited. It brings it over, it puts it in layer. It's going to be called background layer. It might be locked, it might not be locked, and whatnot. So one of the first things I'll do is I need to remove her, because although I like the background like this, I like the texture, I like how it looks, I don't really care for some of the creases that I could not get ironed out in such a short period of time. So we're going to do a Gaussian blur and kind of just blur it a little bit, make it look a little bit better. So in order to do that, I need to get her out of there. I need to do a generative fill, this, that, and the other. So let me just show you. And I know, as I said, this isn't going to be a tutorial. And I think we're in minute 10 right now. So what I do is I'll just click this right here, layer, and then I'm going to go up under the lasso tool right here, make sure quick selection. Right, there we go. Lasso tool is click. And then what I normally do is I'll just come down here, boom, draw a thing. I try to make it a little bit bigger, because when you use generative fill, if you don't have enough space out of it and you just try to do it tight, it's going to try to put something in there that it thinks you want. The tighter I go, it started putting different people in, and then it put a tree in there one time. I was like, what's this tree? So you just hit generative fill, and you don't have to type nothing in, just hit generate, and it's going to populate a couple things that you might like. Give it a little bit of a second. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Yes, I am using AI. I know a lot of people don't like to do it, but work smarter, not harder, and whatnot. So here's the first choice that says, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Or here's a third one. What do you think about that? Honestly, it doesn't matter, because we're going to reintroduce Kennedy back into this picture. I just need it filled like that, because when I do a Gaussian blur, it's going to take the pixels, it like smudges them over, it smudges them. So if I would do a Gaussian blur, or even a path blur, let me think about this for a second. I think the Gaussian blur doesn't spread it. I think it just kind of I don't know. But I'm so used to doing path blurs. If I had to do a path blur, it would take it and it would smudge it across. So even though Kennedy's right here, it would be should be warped out, right? So normally I'm so used to it removing somebody, I just remove it. And so I'd probably just pick the first one, whatever, that's fine. But let's get rid of that. That's just how I created that. So now we have that created. I need to make this into a smart object, because I want to do, like I said, a Gaussian blur on it. And I find that if I don't like the Gaussian blur I put on it, the only way I can change it is I have to go through a smart object, because if you don't have a smart object picked, then you can't change it. You're locked into what you got. You have to throw it away, start all over, and do it. So what I do is I stamp the layer. I make a copy of it, which I did right here, as you can see. And then I just put I convert it to a smart object. Just turn it on, and there we go. Now, the Gaussian blur, I don't know what it starts at for the default, but if you bring this all the way down to almost nothing, this is what you're looking at before, and that's kosher, whatever, but we want to blur it out a little bit. But the problem with that is you also want to put the subject back in there. I need Kennedy back in there so I can see what Kennedy looks like up against the background, right? So in order to do that, we'll activate Kennedy back up here. Okay, activate Kennedy. So now she's in there. And you can see I do have a mask. So this mask, what's this doing? White shows, black hides. So black on this is hiding all the original background. So only she shows up. So only she will show up on this background that's right here. So after I have that all done, I'll go back to my Gaussian blur, and I know I'm all over the place, guys. So sorry. And then that's when I start monkeying around with radius. Okay, how's that looking? Okay, how's that looking? Oh, that looks pretty good at 34. 56. What you need to watch out for is that you can do way too much. I could come all the way up to 1,000 pixels on my blur. Sometimes it's just easier to type it than it is to freaking try to move the slider. And that looks good. Problem is, it looks good right now, but if you were to print this out, or if I was to save this as a JPEG, you're going to see banding. And the reason you're going to see banding is because the original background, there was light, there was dark. So it's just kind of, you're going to see that banding, and we don't want that. So we settled on 40 for a blur. That seemed to be good. She liked the texture, how it was showing. She liked that, and she thought it looked great. So that's what we settled on. So after we have that all said and done, then I like to do something a little bit different. I don't know if it's up here. Yep, there it is. I like to do a high pass sharpen. This is an action I created, and it's up under my actions, under my micro editing. It's called high pass sharpen. When I activate it, it creates a layer, and then it inverts it so you can't see anything on it. And then I just sharpen the areas I want. So I sharpened her eyes, I sharpened her lips, sharpened around the, her mouth area, a little bit of the hair and stuff like that. So if I turn it on, you can see it's very subtle, but it gives the appearance of sharpening, even though it's not. It's just increasing the contrast around the stuff. So yeah. And that's pretty much it. And then I'll come up here and I'll throw a gradient map on there. And I like gradient maps. It's like a quick way to, it's not really color grade. It's like a filter, I guess you could say. So if I click on this, see how it is right now. Now watch when I activate it. It just lightens it up a little bit. And you can use any gradient you want. Like right now I'm using, I think this is blue 10. And I wish it would tell when you hovered what it is, but it doesn't. So you have to come up here, double click it, blue 10. All right. So you can pretty much use anything you want. Like these are the blues, you got purples, pinks, whatever, man. I mean, like, let's see what happens if we introduce, let's do reds. You got to be careful with reds because you got skin tones in there. So if I do this red, that looks kind of cool. That looks, but when you put this on, actually what's going to happen is going to be set to 100%, right? So when you're picking your stuff, and more than likely this reverse is not going to be checked. So now you got something like that. So when you're adding stuff and you're seeing this, like, just don't look right, So what you want to do is you just want to reverse it. And then I find that anywhere between 0 and 20% is the sweet spot. I just normally keep it at 10. The opacity, 10%. And then you just find something you think looks good that you like. It's not rocket science, but it does. I think it brings out the photo a little bit better. So let's see here. Let's go back to blue 10. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here's blue 10. So there's blue 10. And this activated, unactivated. It just a little bit more, and I like that. And then when I'm done, I'll just stamp clone it, make a layer, and then I export it to the photo. And that's it. That's all I do. It maybe 10 minutes tops, if that. 10 minutes tops for me to do this photo, and right now we're in minute 18. So I'm sorry about that. I rambled, but that's just a quick and down easy how I edit it. If you'd like to know anything else, let me go into detail or anything, just, like, subscribe, comment, let me know. Like I said, I'm sorry I've been distanced for a while. I've just been really busy, and I have a lot of stuff going on, and I have a lot more Canon R6 Mark II tutorials that are going to come out about the camera, about the menus, how to set stuff up. So, watch out for those, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.